Hey, welcome to the Really Charlie podcast. And my guest today is an author. Uh, he's slowly becoming a mentor, right? Because I listen to him every other day, and I usually get some kind of inspiration from his conversation with another mutual friend of ours, Mary Lee of Solana, and they have a podcast. High in the canopy, right? And
Mm, Yep.
I just it's on Spotify. They have amazing conversations. Say I have the privilege of listening to it with my earbuds, and I may be going on a 20, 30 mile ride, and it's just a great. It keeps me calm. I pay attention to the road, but I like listening to my man here. He's the author
That's
of
great.
he's the author of Deals, Dangers, and Destiny, a great book. The hardcover book is coming, paperback is coming my way soon. I have it on Audible, and it's just a good, fascinating book, and everything that is mentioned in it, I like. Had some tears in my eyes a couple of times, and I just want to let you know that you did a great job.
Thanks, Charlie. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrific. By the way,
Yeah.
that intro you did for me, "Sail Away,"
Hmm.
that's uh, that's top tier stuff. I mean, I'm not sure I qualify for that.
That is it.
That's
It.
good.
Believe it or not, it was. I was looking for something, and as soon as I seen it, I said, "Whoa, this is perfect." And I
Yeah,
said,
was.
"This is what I'm using." I said, "I
Yeah,
am
it's
not."
great.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
actually I'm gonna share the podcast on your page here real quick.
yeah,
But
yeah.
see, that is just it's just a perfect song of you know I would say my childhood because it was something that was on the radio constantly. Um, but my just in the house in general, in all my family houses. Uh, John, I'm having a problem sharing this. What is going on here? All right, I'll deal with that later. But
All
I
right.
wanted I let me tell you about the first time I heard. I think I can't remember the podcast where I first heard you. Um, but you captivated me with your voice. Your voice was just it reminded me of being around some of my mentors, and we would talk and have some conversations about almost anything, especially things that I wanted to learn and some of the old tales that they had from the neighborhoods or just history in general. And it was just almost perfect because you know how our friend Mary Lee does. She has that gift to captivate you almost real instantly. And
Yeah.
you have the same thing. Just letting you know, you give her a lot
Well,
of credit every single day, and I just want to
well,
let you know.
thank you. Yeah, yeah, Charlie. I appreciate all what you're saying. Well, we got to be honest about Marilee. Marilee is absolutely, unbelievably, incredibly perfect.
Yeah.
Um, I don't even know how to quite describe that, but
Mhm.
she just works. And
Yeah.
and the same thing happens. It's kind of funny between us, she and you and me and her and everybody else as we talk. There's something about frequency. There's something about auditory frequency that works, and it resonates with some people, not everyone.
Hmm.
And like in my case with you, it does, or it did at least in that first podcast. And with me and her, same thing.
Hmm.
And there are other people involved the same way. And uh, but what makes it also work better, I think, sometimes is that we don't compete with one another.
Yeah.
Um, we're not trying to be one-upmanship, or we're not going after market share. We're just talking.
Yes.
Um, and we're not running commercials. We're not, and we don't. There's no edits. It's not
Nope.
even edited. We just talk. I
That's
mean,
it's the best kind of thing, man. It's the best. I love it like that.
yeah, yeah, it's
I don't.
great.
I don't. And a lot of people are like, well, how do you get things done so quickly? And I says, because it's organic, and I don't edit things. I don't. You. I think when people talk to me or have a, just have that conversation, I expect it to be honest and genuine. So there's nothing to edit. There's nothing to just be you. Like we're sitting in the backyard under a tree, just talking shop. Having a beer,
Yeah,
having,
yeah.
you know, it's just one of those. I like everything to be organic. I do it in my writing, and I like to do it in my conversation too. So let me talk to you about, first of all, how many books have you written? That's one thing I do not know. I do
I
not
think
know.
five
Okay. Okay.
books, and then a dissertation. I did that, and that became my PhD dissertation became a book as well.
Hmm.
And then yeah, so I've written on quantum mechanics,
Okay.
metaphysics, stuff like that.
Yes.
I'm not that smart. I'm not as smart as the word sounds, frankly,
Mhm.
but that's what
Hey,
I've done.
that's it. A good thinker, good researcher, right? And
Yeah,
sometimes that's all it takes.
yeah.
The the your, your podcast. The way that's almost a perfect title for you two, right? Because the canopy is not something to me, that's something that's only maybe 4 feet above us, right? When it comes to you two,
No,
it's the
you're right.
universe. You guys are beyond. You can go. I mean, out there, you can go as deep and fly in any direction you want, and
Yeah,
that's your canopy, and
yeah. I know. I know.
it's
I think
untouchable.
I think, and what's funny, what's great about it is that I fall back. I get trapped in science, because I'm a
Hmm.
research scientist, right?
Yep.
Marilee doesn't have that problem. She is common sense,
Hmm.
and so and the other nice thing about her too is that when she's unabashedly afraid to tell me I'm wrong based on her position.
Yeah.
It's just, no, John, you're wrong. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
John,
I
you're
don't get
wrong.
told I'm wrong very often.
Yeah.
Meryl, she just nails me right off the bat.
Yeah.
Boom. No,
She
you're
said,
wrong. You're wrong.
I,
This is how it is. Okay,
I,
good.
yeah, I disagree. Right? She says stuff like that. I disagree. Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
it is. It's It's just it's something I look forward to. Right? When you guys come on.
She's a capstone personality. She's a capstone
Yeah.
person. If you can
Hmm.
get close to Marilee, you've capstoned your life. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
She just is.
Yes. That's perfect. The the I remember sitting. Let me see, where was in that park that she likes to go to, and that was like that. I mean, she had 4 stars already, right?
Hmm.
And but when she sat in that park, it gave her 5 stars. It was like, boom, that's perfect. She was just involved. Her conversation had everything involved around her, her surroundings, and she just kind of, I said, that's perfect. She's on Land's End, and that's where my sanctuary is. So once she was there and just kind of just blowing my mind with her conversation, I said, yep, I gotta follow her as much as I can, and here we are almost a year and a half later. Um, John, your book, the title, um, it's perfect. But did you have the title first, or did you have the story first?
Story was first. The title came later, and the title really came from my editor and publicist, Barbara
Okay.
Kindness. She's the one that came up with the title.
Hmm.
And she came up with the title after reading the transcript.
Oh,
She
okay.
said that your life is a combination of these three things.
Mm,
And I thought that was, I said, yeah, you're right. I mean, it sounded good to me. And
yeah.
so that's what she did. She's got a lot of experience, and I wasn't about to say, I got a better idea.
Mhm.
She knew what she was doing. So, but
And
you're talking about you're at Land's End.
mhm.
Um, the I just got to think from Mary Lee says she titled the book. See, there's Mary Lee coming right now. She's
Mhm.
here says I titled the book. Okay, I got that. Okay, got that. I'll revisit that. Anyway, I was talking about you were talking about you're being at Land's End.
Mhm.
And I was talking about myself. I was thinking about myself when you said that being up in the mountains of Montana, high in the
Mhm.
mountains, high in the Ridge Mountains, and I also noticed that in Marilee's case that she practices, I think, a type of panpsychism or transmigration between herself and nature.
Yes.
She's talking to the birds, she's talking to the trees. She has that communication. It's almost
Mhm.
like this manifestation of her and whatever she's around.
Yes.
She's able to suck that in. I was practiced at doing that because I spent my first 20 years of my life in the mountains with my dad, who was a hunter and that kind of a guy,
Mhm.
and he taught me a lot of stuff. And I think in the ocean, because I've had a big career in water, I see that the same thing in at Land's End at the water
Yes. Mhm.
when you're there. You meet your destiny there. You meet the panpsychic existence of what else is out there.
So true.
And
I
so
agree.
it's just if you're able to do that, I think, in my opinion, if you're able to do that, I think you're going to do better.
I could
But if
create. I can almost any given day. If they put me at Land's End, I can create a book before I leave there of
Yeah.
poetry. That is, and
Hmm.
because I just go from my head kind of my thoughts kind of ricochet, right, and they just
Hmm.
go from one thought to the next, boom, boom, boom. And I sat in Puerto Rico, and I just wrote a book, and I just kept writing and writing it, and just within a few hours, it was completed, and it all has to do with the land, the sea, the atmosphere, the everything, everything naturally nice. You know. Now I can write about things that are real destructive and everything like that, but it doesn't. It's not me right now. It's not. It's just not me. Before I write about something destructive, I'd rather cry. If that makes any sense.
Yeah,
I
it
just
does. Sure.
yeah. Um,
I This was in Puerto Rico.
yes,
Were you in San Juan? Were you in San Juan?
I was in San Juan. I was in Old San Juan. I went to Arecibo.
Hmm.
Um, then uh, it's like I can't. So like where two rivers meet, and I can't think. I'm gonna butcher it up anyway.
That's
So,
all right. That's
it,
okay.
but it was
Yeah, I'm
perfect.
familiar with. I'm a little bit familiar with San Juan. And I did a boat there at the old San Juan shipyard. And
Ooh,
what I remember about the San Juan shipyard, along with the casino where that's how I saw my first baccarat game was in San Juan, Puerto Rico at the hotel.
mm,
Couldn't believe the amount of money that was going across the table.
yeah.
But I had a 110-foot boat. We were bringing up the San Juan shipyard, and we brought it up to just about, I don't know, like 2 feet below the markers of the water line before the keel came out. So we're sort of half in, half out of the water. And the
Hmm.
shipyard went on strike and
Oh,
left me there with the boat half in, half out.
wow.
All I had left were with the dogs that lived in the shipyard. No one else was there, and I sat there in the San Juan shipyard for 2 weeks with a bunch of with you know Dogs. That's
Wow.
nothing.
Uh, well,
It's all
I
right.
know that I know the folks took care of you though, and if
Oh yeah,
you
we did good.
they were very very
Well,
hospitable.
the dogs did, but
Yeah.
what I did is I ended up eating out of the back of the hotel. I had the
Hmm.
people in the kitchen were feeding me out the back door. Yeah, it's funny.
Wow, that's nice. It's we stood on the beach and one of the gentlemen came out of nowhere and so he has his net, his ready throw net. He has that, and he was fishing. He said, "Well, I got to get my dinner for tonight, today." So he throws, he throws the net out, and then he has a fish in his pocket, his cargo shorts. There's a
Hmm.
fish there, and then we see another one. So you got two of them. It's crazy, and it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
and so my buddy was there. He was, he was born in Puerto Rico, and he said, "Yeah, this is every day, man. This is every day." Um, so
Yeah.
it's a great atmosphere, and best 7 days of my life. As far as hanging out with my two best friends, and if we have to do it again, there'll be no hesitation. So, all
Great
right,
area.
John. I got a question for you, right? And I wrote
Go
down a
ahead.
few of them, but there's I have many. I just kind of keep on. I wrote down things as I was kind of hanging out today, and all right, let's see. This one is all right. Here it is. My old man eyes here. You've encountered a diverse array of individuals throughout your life, from business, from let's see, a tribal chairman, I believe it is. Yeah, that's what I put.
Hmm.
And how
Hmm.
does these encounters influence your perspective on success in relationships? So, um, meeting all these people, from all kinds of diverse backgrounds, um, is it something that you uh, is it success? Is it like success? Is it something that's helped your relationships with other people? Um, I don't. I really, and what I was getting, I just seen that you had counted so many different people from rich to poor. Um, how does this help you? I know, does it always come back to your books? Like if you're writing a book, these stories, these successes and or failures that you have, does it always come? Do you put it in your book somewhere?
Well, I do. I think it. I was thrown into important people sort of by accident, because I got into an industry where that's where they hung out,
Hmm.
and so I didn't have a through line or an arrow of time that I was going to meet important, impressive people or rich people. I just did. I just bumped into the situation.
Yes.
Um, what helped me in that situation, I believe, was that I grew up with a within a family and within a group of people that were unimpressed with anything. I mean, just so what? Um, it was all about the mountains and outside and nature and power was God and nature. The power wasn't people or wasn't money.
Hmm.
And so I met these people straight away. I was what they needed. I was a person that could service their situation. So I was sort of their baggage carrier, you know.
Yes. Yep.
I was a salesman or I was a deal maker. I was something like that, but I wasn't them. I never made the mistake of being one of them,
Okay.
or trying to be one of them, or trying to impress them that I was close to one of them. I was always something else, but I was always courteous and I was always part of that process of being whatever they needed.
Hmm.
And that got me close to them to the point where I found out that very successful, wealthy, either political or captains of industry, or those kind of people are just normal as hell.
Yes.
They're just ordinary folks.
Mm-hmm.
And they got there the same way we all get to various places, sometimes by mistake, sometimes
Yes.
by a lot of hard work. But in the morning, the clock rings at the same time, the alarm goes off, they get up, they have the same situations, they have truant kids, they have a bad relationship, they have whatever they've got. And the advantage I had, the true advantage was I represented their free time.
Mm.
So when they came to me, it wasn't about their business. We never talked about their business. We talked
Yeah.
about their free time, and that was a huge advantage. So in that way, I was able to write about them, listen about them, have a lot of fun with them,
Mm-hmm.
and fly around with them. We flew in, their airplanes, and we, went on their yachts, and did all kinds of stuff.
It's
But
amazing.
I was always staff. I was always staff. I was never one of them. Uh,
Mm.
but then the other thing about this in terms of the last part of your question is that I started to ask them questions about their success. I began to be able to be willing to ask them questions. And from that, I got some ideas from them. And from those ideas, I started to become very successful in my
Uh,
own right.
Great.
And so I took their cue and started to do what they were like, I'll do this, and they gave me some great advice, be really good at one thing, not a bunch of stuff and stuff like that.
I
And
love it.
that's when I got in the counter trade business. I was in the yacht business and everything about big time yachts, and these are yachts that are anywhere from 100 to 300 feet,
Mm-hmm.
was about cash, about money. And I I got to and I looked for something different. And I finally, talked to enough of my wealthy buds to figure out that industry does a lot of trading, a lot of counter trading. And I became the baron of counter trade in Europe and the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And I went from making a living to making $200,000 a year. I
Wow.
was pumping. I was rolling 200. I mean, 200 million, not 200,000, 200 million. We were
Wow.
rolling 200 million in counter trade in the Europe and the United States and all over the place. And by the time we got done, our portfolio, we had golf courses and we had hotels and we had apartment buildings and everything stuff. And I'm thinking, what the hell? How did I get here? Uh, I just like that. But wait a minute, and
It,
but the problem is that I was living a life.
mm,
So then then became more airplanes, more fast cars. I was a pilot and a diver and a bunch of stuff, and so had my own equipment, flew my own equipment, got my own this and my own that, and because I was a part of their leisure time, everybody liked to drink in those days, and I drank too much,
mm,
and so I started drinking,
yeah.
and then that became, and then you get all full of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because you're half in the bag, you could do no wrong.
Yeah.
And then I was, and so anyway, eventually what happened was my wife came to me and she said, if you don't stop this, you're going to die. You're killing yourself. It's over with. You're done.
Mm,
You're going to explode and turn to vapor.
wow.
And so that's when I went back to school. I quit. I walked away. I just walked away and said, I'm done, you know, and went back to school. And
Mm,
probably the best decision I ever made, frankly, because I went back to school. I spent 17 more years in school. And I got thrown out of 3 universities because I was so full of myself, and that was another story. But
yeah.
I
Your
was
book.
I was the
Your book
I
tells a
was the big
perfect tale. Uh,
yeah, yeah. So anyway, I but I met some great people. There's presidents of universities that are still my friends.
mhm.
There's a chairman of a bunch of Indian tribes that's still my buddy. We've just done well together, and
That's
I'm lucky. I'm really lucky.
that, that's good. Um, who knows? Maybe can strike up a conversation with some of those buddies and on your
Yeah,
podcast.
a lot of them are dead.
Oh
That's
wow!
the problem. The problem, I've lived too long.
Rest in peace. It
Yeah.
yeah, it's I talked to a couple of friends maybe about 3 days ago, and we were talking about how many people we had lost, and I'll be 58 this year, and not supposed to be losing my friends in such a rate that I'm doing, and it gets to the point where I'm at the funeral home probably once, twice a week, and it's kind of sad, but
It is.
yeah. So, but I try to keep memories alive, and I try to always bring up stories on this podcast for friends like that, and get myself involved in a documentary um, about one of my mentors, Keith Francis, who was he received a track scholarship at Boston College, um, and he tried out for the U.S. team, 1976 Olympic team. Just missed the qualifications, and he later on went to he had a government job, and he was also on the board of trustees for Boston College. So I see different things that are out there with him, and I said, you know what, I got to do a documentary on him. So that's what I'm going to do.
We'll do that. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and he passed
That's
away
him.
a few years ago, and but so I I've been so, like, I get inspired by a lot of people, you being one of them, because and Marilee's another, and the authors that are my friends, or my friends that are authors, they teach me so much, especially some of the things they have written. Me, I think I'm so elementary when it comes to writing. I wish I have to build up my vocabulary and do a little few things that I want to do, not because someone's making me do that, but you continue to inspire me. And I want to talk about your next project. And could you talk about your next project so I can get inspired also? Again.
Well, the next project, Charlie, is really the story of Marilee.
Hmm.
It's a continuation of Deal's Danger Destiny. There's really three books in this series. There's the first book is Deal's Danger Destiny. The next book is what's coming out now, which is Floppy Feathers. We'll be finished with the first round of edits on the 26th of this month with the
Okay.
publisher, and then the capstone, which has already been written, which is the game, which you and I have both looked at.
Yeah.
But the game is the how-to book for Marilee's philosophy and her relationship with her panpsychic relationship with nature and everything else. So Floppy Feathers is a book that describes her in real time, how she operated, how I saw her operate, how I perceived her to operate, and some relationships that I had into the fifth dimension with her, because that's where she gets me to go.
Hmm.
I watch her enough to see her relationship with nature, and so I'm able to kind of maybe parrot that a little bit. And
Yes.
in that relationship, not so much the relationship is not with her; it's with the nature around her.
Hmm.
I'm able to tag into that. And what I did is she Marilee believes that this next book is divinely inspired. Uh, and I'm not going to quite give it that much power. And from my perspective, I mean, I'm just a scribe, I
Hmm.
just wrote it down. But she
Yeah.
thinks that I was given information, and I'm not going to call it wrong, because I think that the way this next book was written, it was written uh, without there was no cards, there was no research, there was no nothing. I just wrote the story of how I perceived her, how I saw her operate, and what she was doing. And so that I got that from somewhere, you
Mm.
know, and I think I got it. And she says it's divine, and I'm going to say okay, it's divine, you know.
Mm.
Um, but it it's remarkable. It's just remarkable because because it's the manifestation of who she is, and it's
Hmm.
demonstrated who she is as it goes through. And what
Yes.
happens at the end, as you know, at the end of Deal's Danger Destiny, which is this guy, um, Thomas Aquinas. I decide when Christine says you're going to die,
Hmm.
I decide to go to Paris, and start studying, go to school. Start to. I become a visiting faculty member at the Sorbonne in Paris. I do all kinds of stuff, and
Wow.
I spend a lot of time at Shakespeare and Company at kilometer zero, right on the river there across from Notre Dame in Paris. And I was practicing what Merrill has become. I was trying to practice um, manifesting somebody like I was looking for, whatever holy order guy I could bring down, get somebody.
Hmm.
I end up with Thomas Aquinas,
Wow.
and
Mm-mm.
how lucky can I be? I get Dr. Angelicus, and number one theologian in all of theism. I get him, and so he and I have this dialogue. Now you've listened to the dialogue in Audible, the
Yep.
third part of the book, and the dialogue I had with Aquinas is amazing.
Yes, it is.
It's
Yes, it
just
was.
plain amazing, you know.
Yep.
And we almost got arrested over it, and and so it was terrific. And I didn't realize that Aquinas. The reason I got Aquinas is he was coming after me.
Mm,
He was looking for me,
yeah.
and he and I was, I had a frequency I was giving off. There's a lot of physics in the book. It's not difficult physics. It's just physics. And so anyway, he was coming after me. And so what happened then is that uh, Aquinas, in the last part of Deal's Danger of Destiny, he decides to kill me in Paris, and he
Mm,
does.
yes.
He's going to take me up to heaven and straighten me out. Well, so the next project is a continuation of that, where Lucifer himself comes down, because early in the book, as you recall, Aquinas sold me to the devil because he'd made a bad call. And this is when I just about got shot in the Bahamas, and
Hmm.
and that was a story that was another story of craziness. But he sells me to Lucifer. So finally, at the very end of the first book, Lucifer and Aquinas come down, and they escort me essentially to heaven. And I start out with my trip into the seraphim of the High Holy Order as
Yeah.
as a brand new angel, floppy
Yes.
feathered angel. I don't
Hmm.
have feathers yet. So that's how the project starts.
Wow.
And it
It.
goes from there. My relationship with these people in heaven, or in wherever that is, but it's heaven for lack of a better term.
Yep.
I meet some very interesting saints, essentially. And I also meet some people that are alive here. And I make this relationship with Sun Tzu, who wrote The Art of War. And
Wow.
he and a couple of the women that I brought along that I know, they end up building this piece of equipment, this machine that will allows people to come seamlessly in and out of heaven,
Mm,
if they're even if they're alive. If they're there, or they can come and go.
I already
So
like
I
it.
end up
All
I end up bringing people in and out of heaven, and
right.
and Mary Lee, I find out, I have this relationship with Mary Lee, but it's indirect. But she has been watching all of this from NGC 234, which is a galaxy
Mm,
below Andromeda. It's the Pisces galaxy. She's a star seed. I don't realize that she's a star seed because she's got all
wow.
this power, and she's actually the daughter of Ra, the sun god of Egypt. Anyway, it
See
goes
that
on from there, and
teachable moment.
and,
I,
her power just grows and grows and grows, and we're trying to manage her, and it's tough. And she's a shapeshifter and a skinwalker. She's everything, you know. She's a cat. She's a woman. She's all sorts of stuff. And so yeah, we have a great time. And in the end, we all realize, including everybody, just how powerful she is. And it's staggering how powerful Marilee really is. And the
yeah,
thing is that I think I believe it's true. I believe it's true.
I think she is very powerful.
Yeah.
And for her to captivate me almost instantly, and I usually people talk to me. Back then I had a tendency to say bullshit, right? And just kind of put my guard up, and just kind of stay away from people. It wasn't like that um, with her, and so I can't wait. I can't wait to because I have a kind of double feature. I have her and I have you, and it's just going to be that amazing because I have it all coming together, and I just can't wait. Can't wait
That'll be
to.
a good story.
Yeah,
You
you
will
have
not be
a
you will not be disappointed. I guarantee
no.
it.
I haven't.
Um,
I don't think there's anything from a conversation you had to the book that I just listened to anything that Mary Lee has written or talked about. I have never ever been disappointed, and but even if I was, I know you two are opening up. You're opening enough to have a conversation with me, right? And we can just
oh
talk
yeah,
about it.
oh
And
yeah,
we can,
that's what we do. I mean, that's and you're inside the wire.
yeah. Mhm.
Um, I I don't. It's we're in an odd place really because there's so many coincidental things happening that are beyond coincidence. You know what I mean? There
Mhm.
there's things that we see, signs that we notice that don't seem to match what's going on, and in a normal situation. So I think we're this is all new territory for me. I mean, I'm the scientist in the crowd, and Marilee is the angelic powerhouse from
Mhm.
NGC 234. Um, we have some. Marilee has started some shoes. She's got a shoe line
I seen that.
around the game, and on the inside of the tongue of the shoe, and I've got a couple of pairs coming right now myself.
Mhm.
Inside of the tongue, she's got NGC 234. She's got the Galaxy
Wow,
inside the tongue of the shoe.
that's awesome.
That's tied to the game. So and then we've got some prototype watches. We're gonna maybe wear an NGC 234 watch that has her coordinates on the face. It's got NGC 234 on the top, and the bottom it's got when her supernova was, because she becomes a supernova. We'll cover that later. But
Mhm.
um, anyway, on the bottom, and then it's got her coordinates on the face of where she lives in the sky on in September.
Wow.
Uh, and that came in the mail, I guess, maybe this morning. I don't know. We're just looking
Mhm.
at it. And so uh, we believe that because of the authenticity of who she is as a person, that there will be people that will want to touch have a touchstone of some kind.
Mhm.
They will want to get somehow close to her, and they're not going to be able to do that because she's going to be too strong and too powerful. She's going to be too busy.
Mhm.
Uh, but if you want to get a pair of her shoes, you can do that, and she'll
Uh,
sign them for you. Maybe she'll sign her shoes.
I
Um,
know. I know. I'm getting a pair.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's all new territory to me. All I am is a half baked old man academic, but
Mhm.
I've done a lot of research, and boy, it's all there. I think the
Yeah.
formula's there.
The sticker behind me is a bumper sticker. Ernestina.
Yeah. Okay.
It helped. It helped. It helped a lot of Cape Verdeans, which is my. That's where my great grandfather was born, and then he came over to the United States, but that's in the western part of Africa, um, and several islands. Well, the Ernestina for years would make that voyage, and then they kind of had to build it and rebuild it, and a lot of public private money that came into it, and but
What, what is it?
there's
Is
a
it? It's a place. It's a place.
it's a schooner like
What's a schooner?
yeah, and I we have it right now. It's at Mass Maritime Academy. I think that's where. No, sorry, it might be in New Bedford now. But it goes back and forth, and but there's a book um that I'm going to send to you,
Okay.
and it talks about it. And little did I know, some my cousins on the other side of his family, the Ernestina is named after one of his relatives, not related to me. So it was
Yeah.
weird. But I want to get that book to you, and just because of your your love of the sea like me, and I like to get that to you. You know,
Thank you. I
yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you very much.
So just
I, I
give me
uh,
a week or two, and I'll get it
yeah.
to you.
Yeah. That'd be great. The My dad was a merchant seaman. He went around the world 3 times as a merchant marine.
I have.
Sailed to China. I ended up becoming a master mariner
Mm,
and a captain. Um, I have friends that are there. Um, I of course built great big yachts, great big boats. Um, we ended up building with the Navy.
mm,
It's interesting enough, we were building boats big enough that we were next to the Navy building, to having their rehab with their acoustic ships. We're building yachts right next to them. We took a Navy, essentially a Navy repair yard, and turned it into a yacht facility,
wow.
which was kind of
And I
unheard of.
remember listening to that. It's I have
Yeah,
some merchant mariners in my family as well, and the stories they have. My uncle jokes around my aunt. He says, "Oh, I should have married that Filipino girl."
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And and I don't know why he says it, but he says it all these years, and he still gets in the doghouse. I said, you know, but has a wonderful wife, and she's definitely amazing. But his stories, he always wanted someone to kind of, he followed in his big brother's footsteps, and then he always wanted his nephews and younger cousins to follow in his footsteps. But it seemed like it stopped with him. Um, and But his stories are not. I still haven't heard him. He hasn't repeated a story to me in all these years, and
Really?
there, there's
Wow,
always something new. Always,
wow.
and yeah,
That's impressive.
yeah, it's amazing. And then he talks about going down to Panama and going through that several times. But it's amazing. The sea is amazing, and um, if I could get away, if I can get rid of my fear, because at 10 years old I almost drowned, and I could never get rid of that. But I love the sea, and it I challenged myself, and I went on a bluefish tournament, and I was out there, every day for a weekend, and I was trying to get rid of my fear, and it worked for you know 80% of the time, but 20% of the time I kind of always got these visions of me and when I was drowning, and almost drowned, and so I can never get rid of that fear, and I wish I could, because I love the sea. I love it. I really do. Um, but we'll see. We will see the sea someday.
Yeah, that's I interviewed a woman one time who drowned.
Hmm.
Um, or she was as a practical matter, she was underneath a boat going down the Snake River, and
Wow.
her story is that she'd gone through whatever the process is to get to the point where the death decision is there. She was
Hmm.
able to decide, or at least give it some thought about dying or living as she was dying. And her recollection of that was that her yet to be born daughter came to her in that circumstance,
Wow.
and told her not to die,
Hmm.
that she was going to be born, that she wanted to be born. She's talking
Wow.
to her mother, her to be, to be mother, and she didn't. So she anyway she didn't drown.
Wow.
She ended up becoming psychotic over the problem.
Hmm.
Ended up working at McLean's Mental Hospital for a while as a staffer to try and learn more about it. Got involved in the NDE community, and I interviewed her and then wrote about her, and wrote about two or three other people that are in that situation. Remarkable thing. I don't know what your circumstance was, but the everything you're telling me is absolutely real from my experience talking to other people because I've
Hmm.
never been there before. The fear is genuine, um, and the circumstances are bizarre, and you don't. It's beyond your comprehension sometimes as a person
Yes,
to figure
I
out
agree.
what the hell went on. Um, but
Yeah.
I had a. I don't want to keep perseverating on this, but in one of the books. A friend of mine, I was writing a book called Fight for the Quantum,
Hmm.
and he knew I was writing the book, and he called me one day, and he knew I was talking to these NDE people. Um, Kimberly Clark, one of them, she was the one that had the blue shoe experiment in Harborview Medical Center, which is another story. Anyway, he calls me up and he said, "I've never told this story to anybody." Now, this guy is the vice president of all um, Jones Act operations for a major gas and oil company. He's an old man,
Wow.
essentially. He
Wow.
calls me up and he said, "I've never told this story before, but I want to tell it to you," because he knew I was writing about it.
Wow.
So I said, "Fine, let's go." So long story short, the night he went to college, University of Washington, and was going off, studying. He was like a junior in college. His brother is graduating from high school. The brother, on the night of his graduation, goes up and gets electrocuted on a high power line, trying to take a picture and doing stupid stuff you do when you're a high school kid,
Wow.
and he dies.
Man.
They were very close, very close. The the night that he died, and his brother comes back to the house, and everybody's, of course, as you are when you have that situation.
Hmm.
Um, his brother appears to him in a dream
Wow.
and tells him that it's going to be okay. And his brother is standing uh, as he's speaking to him. He's on the bridge of a ship,
Hmm.
and that's how the thing went.
Wow.
And he remembers that is with his brother who has just died. Years later, years later, my friend decides to do a variety of things. Which one is become a lawyer,
Yeah.
and the other one he did before that was he became a cadet at the California Maritime Academy.
Wow.
And on the day that they were going to go down to the Golden Bear, which is a school ship for the academy, he goes on the boat and he goes aboard the bridge of the Golden Bear, and it's the same bridge exactly that his brother talked to him about the night he died. Same
Wow.
place, same environment, same everything. He's walking aboard the bridge that he saw with his brother the night he died, and that was years before.
Unbelievable.
And he couldn't speak of that until he was able to talk to me about it. It was so powerful to him.
Yeah.
You see,
I
so
I
it's easier for me to believe this stuff. Yeah, go on. I'm sorry.
I can imagine that. The Everything's so clear to me, so elusive that it's like I when I do revisit it, it's almost like it just happened again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
Um, and my father wasn't too he kind of, I don't know, he didn't take any blame for it, but he should have been paying attention, and he wasn't. But the next thing he did to me was even more traumatic. He tried to teach me how to swim by throwing me in a creek, and it just he kept throwing me in the creek, and I'm like, you'll learn, and that was I still think of that, I still think that.
Yeah.
it was like I was gonna drown a second time. It's
Yeah.
amazing. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's John, I gotta follow everything that you're writing, only because I'm it's just a friendly conversation. You're a good conversation for me, and I listen and I'm learning almost every single time when I listen to you. And I just want to let you know that my praise is very high, and I know you're not the type of guy that kind of boast it on your shoulders or something like that. But I just think that you're a great dude, and I'm going to continue to follow you. Um, and whether it's listen to the podcast, whether it's doing some research on you, but I'm gonna highly, highly support you in anything I can do here.
Well, I'm thankful for the relationship, frankly,
Yeah,
Charlie.
I thank you too, and
Yeah.
it's
Terrific.
I'm glad that you all you and Marilee, just that's a great conversation. I mean, a combination. And but I got one question for you, right? You talked about going on yachts and doing some things and maybe drinking or getting a little high. If you were on a yacht and it was you, Cheech and Chong, and Snoop Dogg, who,
Yeah.
who would you get upset with first? Or would they get upset with you?
I well, I suppose in terms of circular conversation, it'd be Cheech and Chong. I
Yeah.
don't know.
When
I've
I
been
was,
on some yachts like that.
yeah, yeah. And I was, I read something and I'm looking, I'm kind of pitching, you having a ball and having a good time. And I'm like, and those three came up in my head, and I had, the other one was George Collin. He's another guy but I'm picturing it, you guys just hanging out, talking about yachts, and you're going to build one for probably each and every one of them.
Yeah.
And I just thought about that. I said, well, maybe they had started a conversation with a drink and something else, and would it last long? Who would get upset with each other, or would they just chill out? It's just amazing. But
Well, it's you sometimes it really is business, but it's very interesting. We had a boat. We were involved with the Seahawks when the franchise first opened,
hmm
and the visiting press corps. I put together a yacht for the visiting press corps the night before the game,
yes,
and they would come in and get aboard, and they talk. And I learned a lot about football,
hmm
which had nothing to do with carrying the ball down the field. I guarantee you that. It had everything to do with who's on injured reserve, who's going to play, who's not. Who's wanting too much money, all this
yeah,
kind of stuff. Those guys never did talk about the game. Never did.
no,
It was all about the stuff, all about the money, which is one of Mary Lee's things. She doesn't like. She's not big on money. She
no,
thinks it's the root of all evil. She's probably right.
it sure is. One of my colleagues from years ago, he would always, when people are greedy, they that's usually when their downfall comes. And he was younger than me, but when he said that to me, and I said, "What do you mean greedy?" He says, "Everybody's trying to, they're doing things over greed, and he said that they always have a problem after that, and it kind of stuck with me, and until this day, I got to talk to him some more about it, because now he's a supervisor on the police force, so I uh,
Ah,
I want to see what his change was because he was a young kid, and want to ask him about that again. Now that
that'd
he's
be very interesting. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he's a good dude though. The I really I want to do this again,
All right.
but I want to add Mary Lee to this, and
I gotta
When
apologize to Mary Lee about that name. I don't know how I got that screwed up. She's smarter than I am, but
it's,
about the book name. So
yeah,
Mary Lee came up with the Phil's Danger Destiny.
that's good. That's
Well, I'll give
hey,
it some thought. I'm sure I'll hear from her. Yeah.
yeah. It might start the conversation tomorrow on the
Yeah, I
podcast.
bet it will. Yeah.
Yeah. I
All
see.
right.
We got some friends. Stephen Shetty, I believe it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Tanisha Curtis, who was also helps me. She's going to help me with my new Audible book. I can't wait. Um, and let's see. Yeah, Michael Samayo, he's always following me on YouTube. Great guy. He has a book coming out about his memoirs. It talks about basketball and tennis and a lot of things that he was involved in. So I can't wait for that. I
Yeah.
keep telling him, hurry up, and but it's a great book. Already, I've seen different pieces of it, and I can't wait. So,
Steven's a good
um,
guy, by the way. He won one of our contests on the podcast.
oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, he's a good guy. He follows Mary Lee, very strongly, and follows both of us on the podcast. But yeah,
good.
he was quick. He's a smart guy. Smart guy.
I'm
Like me, he's an
gonna.
old guy. Smart guy.
I I love it. It's Oh, and by the way, I like that story about you know how you met your wife. Where you was she was a customer, right?
Yes,
And
that's
then
correct.
life circled around,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then fate bring you back together. Yeah,
that's
and
right. That's right. That was a 15-year process
yeah, that's
from
amazing.
staying around the dock in Alaska to finally getting that handled.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
similar story. Me and my wife,
Good for you. Good for
we were
you.
kind of. I liked her since I was about 15, 16, and but you know, we I always thought she was a beautiful woman, and still is, and then things circled around, and it just happened to be at the right place and the right time. I joked around, and we tend to back then we would always go to a pizza joint, and after the club, and I would always tell her, "Yeah, there's an after hours party at your house." She would just laugh and smile, and so I'll tell you what, I'll buy you a slice of pizza in about 20 minutes. I'll see you over there, and but yeah, it's yeah, about 15 years later, that's when we met. Probably 12 years later, joking around, and
How about that?
yep, and
Yeah. Hmm.
so, but you keep up the good work, and you need anything from me, I don't care what it is. You know, I know that you're a very, you're not an old guy, you're a smart guy, and but if you ever need
Well,
anything,
I'll let you know. I am the last man standing in this
yeah.
industry, so yeah, I wish I wasn't. The medical profession finds me clinically interesting. It's as good as it gets, I guess.
uh,
All right, Charlie, it's been wonderful. Thank you.
okay,
Appreciate
I
it.
can look forward to you tomorrow morning.
You bet. Yes, sir.
All right. Everyone, check out my friend John and Mary Lee on Spotify. Uh, Eye in the Canopy. Definitely just great podcast, and it's my daily listen, at least every other day, and you won't be you won't be stirring the wrong place. She definitely a great podcast. All right, John, you're the best, and
Thank you, sir.
break some more deals, stay away from the danger, and create your own destiny, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're the you're the best. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. All right, everyone. Listen, you gotta reach out. I have a lot of things in the comments when it comes to John's book. Check it out. Tanisha, I know you're gonna actually get one. everybody else there, please, you will not go wrong by purchasing this book. Um, and I did the quick way is to get it on Audible. That way I can listen to it right away, and I enjoyed it. It was like listening to a friend, listen to a professor in the classroom. It just at the university. It was just amazing story, and you will not put it down, whether you're reading or listening to it. And also remember, we mentioned about Mary Lee of Solana. She has the book, The Game, right here. Do not forget about this. This is a great book, and you definitely have to check out those two books. Highly recommend them. All right, everyone. On as you see above my head is WNB1 Radio. Don't forget about WNB1 Radio. Add it to your phone, your devices, your Apple or Android, and listen to some of the musics right here in New Bedford, Massachusetts. It's the one of the first internet radio stations in our city, and I will be back in that studio in about 2 weeks. I will be back in the studio. As you see, I'm at home, but I will be back at WNB1 Radio in studio. I will mention the guest in a couple of weeks. But you guys are great. God bless, and I'll see you every Tuesday here on Facebook Live, YouTube, Spotify, and WNB1 Radio. Take care, y'all. God bless. Appreciate you.